Well, now, the only three things that you can do with money has never changed, will never change on that basis, okay? And the three options is that you either spend the money, invest the money, or waste the money. As simple as that. The three options. I repeat again. You either spend the money, you invest the money, or you actually waste the money. Now, the question is this. What exactly do you do with your money? I'm not going to leave out there. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to explain each and every of those three categories of what it means and what you can be able to do and be able to see what's the best for you. All right. And by the way, this is that video. I would like you to be honest with me. Which one of the three things that you usually do with your money? And by the way, if you're watching me for the first time, this is Good Joseph speaking. Talk about anything related to cash, to money. And by the way, guess what? I upload a video each and every day. So if you don't want to miss any of my good videos, come on, go ahead and hit that subscription button, like the video. And by the way, if you've been watching my videos, come on, let's be sincere, guys. I've been sharing this information with you for quite a long time. And if you've been watching my videos, you've never subscribed to my channel, come on, go ahead and hit that subscription button. Does not cost you anything. It's just like saying, hey, thank you, Joseph. And if you don't know where it is, down below there, just next to my subscribers, there is a small button in black written subscribe. Oh, come on, let's get to the business now. We've said they only have three options, okay? There are only three options that you can be able to do with money, all right? Now, let's go into details and explain each and every bit what it means and what you're supposed to go about. Let's start with the first one. Spend it. Spend it. All right? Spend it. And before we continue, I have to explain to you one thing. Money is energy. And remember one thing, if you can borrow something from the physics, energy cannot be, you're right, cannot be created or destroyed, but can be converted from one form to the next. That's a fact. So if you losing money means someone's making money. Simple. You cannot like totally waste the money. If you lose it, someone is making it. All right. So the question, ask yourself, where is it going? Let's go to the business now. See, if you spend the money, there is nothing wrong with spending the money. I know you're like, okay, Joseph, gonna go ahead and say, hey, you're not supposed to spend your money. Come on, you're supposed to spend your money because when you're investing, you're spending the money. So the point is this, spending money overly, it is not bad. But how are you spending the money? Okay, because when you talk about spending the money, there are people who we call them the spenders. See, the spending the money, we get the people who we call them the spenders. Okay, the spenders. And out of the spenders, we have two categories of people under this category, all right? Under the spenders, we have people who we call them the what? Come on, we've been talking about this like a million times. Let it know me on the comment section. Now, spenders and other spenders, we have people who we call them the what? The investors. There are people who invest or spend when they're investing, and we have people who are called the consumers. Okay? All right. So you see, there is nothing wrong with you being a spender. There is nothing wrong with you spending the money. All right. So the point is this. If you are a spender, if you're a consumer, ask yourself, when I say you are an investor, it means you take your money, you use the money. By virtue of you using the money, you're spending the money to invest the money for you to grow it, multiply it, and also be what? Generate more income out of it. About this one, we're going to talk about much when we go to the invest it. Let's concentrate on the consumers. Under the consumers, here we are talking about the people who do what? They have what we call the consumer mindset. These are the people who believe once you get the money, it is supposed to actually, keep you good. So there is a Swahili saying that says, hey, wekwe na pesa vizuri, usiweke pesa vizuri. Literally means like, it's not you who keeps the money, it's the money that keeps you. Well, it depends on who you ask and what exactly does that mean. So now the point is this, now you're a consumer here. You take the money, you believe the moment you get the money, you go ahead and spend. And I'm going to give you a very real example at a friend of whom I had when back I used to be a teacher. I remember that guy, well, I'm not a teacher by profession, but there was a time I used to teach out there as a tutor or something of sort. Now, the point is this, once I had a friend of mine whom we get to be paid, that guy will show up to the next mall. We were just walking, the next shop, the next supermarket, the next mall, the next anything. Let me grab that one thing, okay? The guy would actually go out there and spend that money anyway. Provided he has the money, there is an availability of a place where he can go ahead and be able to grab that thing, he go ahead and spend that money. So the point is this, if you spend the money, ask yourself, okay, am I spending on the line of investing or am I spending this money on the line of consuming? So that at least you can be able to tell, hey, guess what? If you're on the consumer side, then ask yourself, why I think I'm not moving on the right direction. It's good to consume, but rather it's good to spend, but you're spending on the basis of the investment. Perhaps I'm going to shed a little bit of light on this specific area when we go to the next level or the next point of how, or the next option as far as the money is concerned. Let's get to the next point. Now, the next point now, it talks about you investing the money. Remember, there are only three options. Now we are the option number two. The option number two is you doing what? Investing the money, to invest it. So what is to invest it? This is an area that I always talk like a million times. So money is either you spend it or you invest it. So when you invest the money, you are actually working on the principle of the growth. And by the way, don't confuse movement with growth. And just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. So when we say you're investing the money, you're actually motivated by the fact that, hey, you want to grow the money. Remember one thing, remember what I told you, from 21 years all the way to 45 years, focus on what? Growing the money, growing the money. From 46 years all the way to retire and plus, guess what will happen on? You focus on storing the money, storing the money. You safeguard, to safeguard the money. Because guess what happens? The moment you actually get into the phase where you are less productive, what happens is that you rely on what you did when you are active. So when you talk about investment, can have an array of the areas that you can be able to invest on. When you talk about investment, you can actually choose to go into the, when we talk into the investment, allow me to kind of use the word investment to mean two things. You can either invest it, I know that doesn't make sense, but I'm going to explain. And again, you can either go into the business route. So the business route, this is where we say the money works for you. Money works for you. And here, this is when we say you work for money. You get what I'm saying? So at that particular point, so when you invest the money, you can choose that what is appropriate and rightful for you. My point of investments may not be appropriate for you. So what happens is that you go ahead and pick that thing that is appropriate and rightful for you. For example, let's say I do not have a problem with cash flow, therefore I can focus into investing in soft assets. Remember, we have two types of assets. We have the soft, we have the hard. So pick that what works for you. If you have the financial muscle, you can get yourself into the real estate. That's one of the best areas you can get yourself into. If you hate these kind of things about all the things that I talk about, the soft asset, like of the MMF and what have you, if you dislike that and you'll have to go the business way, you go ahead and do the business. Again, when you go into the business world, there are a variety of areas that you can get yourself into the business. Remember what I was telling you, in businesses, we have the category 1 businesses, category 2, category 3. Category 1 is when you deal with the products that have low has low profit margin, and you can sell them in bulky, especially the food items. You see, you may have a lot of customers visiting you and the profit margin is quite less, but you can sell more. And when we go to the category 2 of businesses, where we have the medium profit margin, and also we have the median turnout in terms of the customer. This is when you deal with the clothing, fashion, and all those kind of things, and maybe beauty and what. And then you go to the third category. That category is when you have the big profit margin, and then you have sort of a low turnout. Why? For example, if you're selling cars, you can sell, let's say you're selling ships, you're selling aeroplanes, you're dealing with hardwares, you're dealing with those kind of things. If you count the number of people who are visiting, say, a car yard where people are selling cars vis-a-vis compared to a mall, or not really a mall per se, let's say a supermarket or a grocery store or a convenience store, you can realize that there are different number of people do that the same. So therefore, if you get into a business that has high profit margin, even if you do 1 gig in a whole month, then you're good to go. You can cover up everything that guy has been selling that entire stretch of month. So it's good to understand, if you want to get into the business investments, if you want to get into the investment, what line do I fit? And also consider the fact of time. Hey, for example, I'm employed from 9 to 5, and what am I going to do? Am I going to employ somebody? And if I do, what are the repercussions? What do I start to gain? So when you analyze all these kind of things, that is exactly, we say, hey, guess what? You're getting into the entrepreneur business, and also you're actually doing something at the end of the day. And again, you can either get into the entrepreneur business, or you can get into what we call the intrapreneur business. What do I mean? For example, say you're employed somewhere. That bank that you're employed usually get a salary each and every month. And that bank that you're employed, it is a PLC, it's a public listed bank. You rarely buy shares. How about you are an employee of that bank? How about you become an entitlement of guy or an individual who owns also that bank, because you can invest at the same that bank, or maybe you can invest on a different bank. I mean, seriously, it is good to actually understand the principle of intrapreneur, whereby you're not only getting the salary, but also you're getting a dividend out of that given bank because you've bought shares. And I'm using a bank as an example. It doesn't have to be a bank. It can be a company. If you're lucky enough, you're working in a company that is a PLC. And if it is not, does not limit you from doing or taking an action of investing in a company that is a PLC, public listed company. It simply means that a company that you can be able to buy shares from that given company. So when you invest the money, I can talk like a whole day about this investment. And guess what? By virtue of you subscribing to my channel, this is the area that I talk about mostly on this specific channel. So stay put. We're going to talk much about that. Let's go to the last one. The last option as far as the money is concerned. Remember, there are 3 options. Don't forget that. That's the guiding principle. The last one, waste it. All right? When we talk about waste it, This is not a new term. And I know most of you usually approach the financial advisors and you actually, ask yourself, where's the money going? Because wasting the money. See, when you waste the money, it simply means you are using the money, or you're using money in another rather than intended purpose. You're using it rather than intended purpose. You're actually doing what we call, you're rushing the gratification, you're rushing enjoying yourself, you're actually having the comfort before the time. And again, maybe let's say wasting the money simply means like, hey, you're squandering the money, you are eating it at the very first time, you're spending the money on the consumer mentality, therefore you're actually wasting the money. Wasting the money is the situation whereby you realize that the money that you're actually getting is not meeting the other. And by the way, this should be the very basic principle that should guide you to tell you whether you're moving on the right direction, especially if you get yourself in a situation whereby the salary that you get does not meet the next salary. It should actually provoke your thinking and ask yourself, what exactly might be going on? Because, I mean, seriously, you're getting this salary. Let's say you're taking a whole 1, 2, 3, 30 days to earn, say, 50,000. And then you're taking 1, 2, 3, 5 days to consume the entire salary that you made in 30 days. There is something wrong. What you're supposed to understand, you may not have an exact period, but the point is this: it does not make any sense you taking 50 days or rather 30 days to make money and then using 5 days to consume. Let me just put that on the board. This is what I mean. You're taking day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 30 for you to make 50K. And then when it comes to consumption, this is making, all right? When it comes to consumption, for example, if you were to draw a graph, let's say this is the 50K mark up here. So it takes you time. It takes you time. By the time you clock the 50K, it has taken you how many? It has taken you 30 days. But when it comes to consumption, now here you are, you have the 50K. Now what happens is that consumption is, it takes you 3 days. At that particular point, at that particular kind of a graph, no, that is not really the best thing that you can ever do. There's someone, if you pay them today, in 2, 3, 4, 5 days, they got no money. And then guess what happens? If the month is made up of 30 days and you've consumed your money in 5 days, then you have 25 days to hoover around. Well, some people may not have the money because they have invested. There are people who do not have the cash flow, but they know after some time they're going to get the cash. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm talking about the individuals who get the money, you drink all the money, or maybe you squander or misuse the money, and then you have a struggling 25 days from the day you finish your money up to the next time when you get the next salary. At that particular point, you also think about borrowing the money. I mean, obviously, when you borrow the money, you're going to get yourself into cyclical borrowing, which is not really catering for the purposes of investment, but you're doing so on the basis of doing what? Funding your consumables. And that violates the principle of money or the finances. So you're supposed to get yourself off that specific hook, or else you continue that way, it's gonna be very, very tough for you. All right. So the point is this: avoid as much as you can to getting into wasting of the money, because hey, guess what? I have nothing more I can add on that. Wasting money is actually on self-explanatory, and the wasting of money can actually come from the, you do not have the budget, you don't follow the principles of financial guidance, you actually indiscipline, you don't even understand the meaning of consistency and all the sacrifices and that kind of a thing. And if you get yourself into this, you have a problem. Now, this is the recap. With money, you can only do 3 things: you spend it, you invest it, or you do what? You waste it. Those are the only 3 things. Don't ask yourself, among the 3 things that Joseph you said, which one am I on to? Put it on the comment section. Just because you said you're wasting money or whatever the thing is. Hey, if you're wasting the money, you can tell us, what did you waste your money with? And maybe we can pick 1 or 2. Remember one thing, just like an iron sharpens another iron, so do we learn from each other. And if you're spending the money, come on, how are you spending it? I'm spending to invest. And if you're investing the money, where are you investing and how does it take you? Remember, I told you want to create this community whereby anyone and everyone can actually benefit out of what we talk about when it comes to investments. For now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget, my number is always on the description of this specific video. Should get that number, shoot me a call or an email, then we can have a discussion for just a couple of your price. For now, it's a goodbye. See you there.